even though this life gets tough, said you gotta keep fighting. And even though it gets hard, it's gonna get hard. You gotta keep striving. But you gotta keep striving. Through the fears and the loss, but the tears won't turn off. No fears, your heart's crying. Hold on to his words. Lean on him. It gets better by night.
The toughest war you ever face will be domestic. It's elementary, it's been this way for centuries. Cold War was raised against our seed. Take off them blinders, you will see. That it ain't about them gas prices, it's all about who with the nicest. All about them deals on bundles, hair on fleek, don't make them up. Face beating red bottoms, dead beats we hear about them. Fitted up from head to toe, but never at their children's door. Wonder why they dying by the dozens, but it's simple, yo. Just listen. It's time we stop ignoring facts. It's time we take our family back. Fix the root and then attack. Stop making moves without a plan. Control emotions, then we stand. Calling on my kingdom and to come together. Take this land. We gotta fight, our future depends. Get the head back in order, cause that's where it begins. Invest your all into your garden, water the roots to the end. Nurture the family tree and let the fruit feed all men. Just listen.
Even though this life gets tough, said you gotta keep fighting.
Welcome to another episode of A Mile in My Shoes, where we ask the question, how can we say we know someone if we've never heard their story? Tonight, I hope y'all had a wonderful day. I am locked in and excited because I'm ready to hear this story from a young lady named Hamilton Jules. I've been waiting for a long time to hear this one, y'all. I don't know anything about the background, so I'm going to be tuned in just like y'all. Without any further ado, we getting right into it. I'd like y'all to welcome Miss Hamilton Jules. How are you doing on tonight?
I am blessed. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Look,
thank you for having me.
I am grateful that you gave us your time to share your story and tell us a little bit about what you do. I've been waiting for this one. I know. Look, we've
attempted it several times.
Look, we were supposed to get together, but certain situations happen, family situations happen. Yes. But it's an appointed time for right now. Look, I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and tell us about your story. Like I told you, I got my popcorn here. I'm ready.
Absolutely. So my name actually is, I go by Hamilton Jules on social media, but my name is Julie Hamilton. I am born and raised born in Houston, but raised in Galveston County between Texas City and Galveston.
Galveston.
Yeah, I traveled in my earlier years. I did a little bit of traveling. But before I get into all of that, I really want to get to the meat of why I'm here. And I was going to start with my role and what I do, but I'm going to tell my story and then lead to my role, because my story is, my role. But so, we all have a story. Everybody has one. And a lot of times I don't want to say we judge a book by its cover, but in fact, we really do. And so I want to start off by saying, people look at me and they think, wow, she's got it together, or they imagine this life. And so I don't want to say that my entire life was traumatic or any less than what I say perfect now, because it's perfectly wrapped together. But so I grew up in an environment that, or the earlier part of, let's just say this. So my father was an addict, and it wasn't a very good situation. He was abusive, and so when I say that, I'm also going to say that, and some people are going to be like, "Wow, I loved the man. He's no longer with me today, but you grow and you develop." But so he was abusive, and my mother, God rest her soul, they're both deceased, but she wanted something better. She knew that it wasn't an environment, not just for her kids, but for herself. So she did the thing that she thought, would be the best decision for her two girls. And that was, she gave custody to my grandparents. Of me and my sister, we were 2 and 3 years old. And I will tell you that my mother remained a huge part of my life. So it wasn't just, she gave custody and went on about her life, but she gave custody because she knew that we would always be taken care of. We were being removed from a very unhealthy situation. Yeah. And so with that, she, came to grow and get away from the life that she was engulfed in as well. But so I had the opportunity to be raised by old school grandparents, and it was incredible and amazing. I knew from a very early age that I was different, that there was just something on my life and I couldn't understand it. When you're young, when you're a kid, you think, and I'm going to be honest, all these things were happening in my life, and sometimes they were really magnified, and I was like, I am cursed. I thought I had this black cloud, because as well as I do, when you all that are called don't answer. But especially when you're called for at the age of 12, I was having things happen in my life, and and God was speaking to me and showing me things, and I was like, what is happening here? Didn't understand it. So when I was little, I was the only one running out the steps on a Sunday morning to get on the church bus to go to church, and by myself. And I'm talking, I was 7, 8, 9, 10. And, I just knew that was where I was supposed to be. I was sitting on the front row and taking it all in. And, but with that, I still had a lot of things in my life that just weren't right. And so I, as I got a little bit older, and I will say that, I had some experiences and some situations, and I'm going to say this, I tread on some things lightly, and here's why. My story is my story. So I'm not here to expose or throw people under the bus, or, none of that. So I really want to kind of stick to the meat of it where it pertains to me. But, there were some things in my life that really affected me, and it from drug addiction to abuse to, and people can't see what's happening to you. And we put on this facade, and we walk around like everything is perfect and wonderful, and it's really not. Yeah. And the crazy part that it's really real, and a lot of households go through it, is you can have, in my case, I had a sister who we share the same mother and father, but there's 6 of us total. So my father, he would make the joke, the next time I, get married, I'm going to get married to a mamacita in Mexico. And that was just who he was, how he, lived his life. And so, there were 6 of us, and, but not all of us had the same story. Not all of us grew up in the same circumstances, in the same environment, even though we shared the same father. With me, it wasn't, I didn't have him in my household. It was broken promises and falling asleep on the couch waiting for him when I was a little girl to come pick me up with my lunch bag, and he'd never show up. And, so I had all of this trauma, and I had brothers and sisters who later on, as he got remarried and had other kids, where they grew up with him in the household. It wasn't perfect, but they had that father figure. And so when I talk about, my story and things like that, there's kind of like that wedge in between, because they don't see my side, they don't share my story, so this, I say all of that to say this. I loved my father. I didn't have the best version of him. I, at one point, had to divorce my father. His lifestyle, as I got older, he was in and out of my life. But I had to divorce him because his lifestyle was killing me. There were, crazy, because on my birthday, I still have a hard time, and I'm 54 years old, but getting excited about my birthday. There were 2 years in a row where my father had OD'd on my birthday. So I spent my birthday in the ER. They were trying to bring him back with Narconon, and, and I was thinking, is this going to be the last time I'm going to see him? Is this going to be the last time this is going to happen? And, so it's a bittersweet. It's like, I want it to get better for him, but I want it to get better for me. And so, that was my life. Going back a little bit when I was younger, through, my dad's addiction, I share this. He was incarcerated for, a period of time. And I remember, standing in line at the state Huntsville prison, waiting to see him behind this glass. And, that was my life. That's all of these things and circumstances was what I was faced with. And, it to me, looking back at that time, that was my norm.
Mhm.
I had to, they say you have to learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. I didn't know the difference. That was just
Right.
my life. Got up on the
Yeah.
weekend and went and stood in the line to see him for 15 minutes. And, you know, but I say all of that to say that when it's what even I had great grandparents. Oh my God. My grandfather, he is the biggest reason that I am who I am today, aside from God, of course. But, you know, I was so blessed. My parents, my grandparents, they've all passed. But getting back to what my lifestyle was like, it led to my judgment in relationships. And
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know even though you say this is what I want, it wasn't what I ended up with. I had this image in my head that I was going to have the house with the white picket fence, and I was going to be married and have kids, and everything was going to be beautiful and amazing. And that just didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
I got married. It was my high school sweetheart, and it was amazing for the first year. And then it turned sour real quick. He was not the person that I thought he was. It changed. The dynamic changed. Everything changed. I was alienated from my family, and I found myself in this really dark place. And, for a period of time, I shut everybody out.
Yeah.
And I, I don't know. I just, through a series of events, I woke up one day and decided this was it. And in that time, we had a business together. We had rental property together. We had a house. I had a new car. And I was so desperate to find my life back, to get my life back, to rediscover me wherever I went,
Yeah.
and to create a healthy environment for my kids, that I left with 3 30-gallon trash bags. I left the business. I left the car in the driveway. I left everything. And the crazy part about this is, and it's God math. Sometimes we think that, that I'm just going to say this: God doesn't give us any more than we can handle. And sometimes I'm like, really? Is that really the case?
Yeah. I know
It's
about that one.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit, because there's two really big events that I want to highlight in this. Right before or years before I filed for the divorce, I had an accident. I was working for Shell, and I fell into an elevator bank, and I tore my Achilles tendon, and I was a mess. I had to have reconstructive surgery on my right ankle and foot, and I spent almost 3 years in recovery. I went from a wheelchair to crutches to a cane. And this is the won't God do it, because the surgeons told me all the things that I won't be able to do ever again. It was I used to be very active and I ran 5 miles a day and did all of these things. And, it's like, you're never going to run again. And you're never going to, when you get to where you're healed, you're not going to wear heels again. And you're not going to do this again. And you're probably going to have another surgery again. And I was like, I am not claiming that. Just not claiming it. So I, stayed diligent and doing my therapy and all the things that I needed to do. And probably about 2 years in, I decided, I don't care how crazy I look, but I'm going down to the track. And if I got to run 5 steps and walk and 5 more steps and walk,
I'm going to do my 5.
I'm going to do my 5. And my 5 is going to turn to 10 and 20. And so I went to the track, and it took me about a year, but I was running again. And I wear heels. Well, not so much anymore. I choose to be comfortable, but I can wear heels if I choose to.
If you want to, you can put them up.
So I had to go back to say that, I don't care what the doctors say. It's, if God's gonna, God has a different plan for you, then that's what it's gonna be.
Have that screen on that one.
Yeah. So getting back to the divorce. So I filed for a divorce, and that was in April. So May 15th, on my birthday, I was actually going to dinner with some friends and my sister, and I had a car wreck. And so when I realized what had happened, there was a baby that was having a seizure. The child was 2 years old, and she was having a seizure, and the mom slammed on the brakes, or thought she was slamming on the brakes in just a panic to get to her child. So instead she slammed on the gas and ran into me. So I jumped out of the car. I got adrenaline going, and I'm just like, oh my God, I got to help her with this baby. And so anyways, we, the baby, praise God, was, fine. But so the EMS was like, hey, you need to go to the hospital, get checked out. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I just want to make sure the baby was good. So it's about 5 days in, and I'm starting to feel, sore, and I got some things going on. And I said, okay, so maybe I need to go get checked out. So I scheduled an appointment and went in to see the doctor, and my regular doctor had been seeing him for years. And, something's different when, instead of going to the doctor and they bring you into the patient room, the doctor calls you and they're like, hey, come on down here. Then if you're going down this long hallway, and they take you into his office. And I don't know if you remember the show. I'd say remember, you may not even have heard of it. I honestly don't know the name, but I want to say the actress was Lily Tomlin. And she had this show years ago where she's this little person. She looks like a little rag doll, and she's in this big chair. Everything around her is magnified. Mm-hmm. And so I walked into the doctor's office, and he said, have a seat in my chair. When I sat in that chair, I felt like Lily Tomlin, like everything got really big, and I was this small. He said, Miss Hamilton, he said, I've been seeing you for a long time. He said, I got some good news and I got some bad news. He said, what do you want first? I said, well, give me the bad news. What do we got? And he said, well, the bad news is you have cancer. And he said, the good news is I think that we can save your life. And so for about 3 days, I felt like I was being held underwater. I couldn't breathe. And a friend of mine, at the time, it was actually an acquaintance. I had just met this individual, and this individual said to me, I need you to pray this prayer. I don't care if you got to pray it 50,000 times a day, but I need you to pray the prayer. I will not fear the weapon the devil has brought against me. It has no power. It cannot prosper. I don't care how many times, you just keep praying it. And so I remember on the 3rd day, I sat on the edge of my bed and I prayed that prayer. And the moment I prayed that prayer, I kid you not, I no longer had cancer. My mind said I was healed. I went to work. So at this time, I was a property manager, and I was running a community in Galveston. And I tell you, I never worked harder and longer. I never felt stronger internally. Although when I went home at the end of the day, nobody even knew I was sick. I had a catheter bag. I would wear heels and dresses, and I had a catheter bag strapped to the inside of my leg. And I would go home and I would just be heaving, hanging over the commode, and just sick. I was diagnosed right off the bat as stage 4. I had cancer of the female organs, and only 15% of women survive at the rate of where I was when I was diagnosed. So I'm here to tell you, anybody facing it, going through it, they give you that sentence. I don't care what the doctors say. And there's more to the story, but won't he do it? Because God's plan, his plan was, that was not the end for me. It was actually the beginning, because cancer saved my life. I was at a place where I told you I was dark. I was searching for a reason. Even though I had children, I had wonderful family members, I had support around me. I was searching for a reason just to wake up the next day. It was not a good time in my life. And when I was sitting in that doctor's office and they gave me that sentence, I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. But on that third day, when I prayed that prayer, I promise you, I heard God say, just don't hold on, just be held. I got you. I got you. And I was sitting in.
Wait. Hold on, man. Hold on. She say, don't hold on, be held. We got to pause for a minute on that one. I need somebody to type that one real quick. Ooh-wee.
Just be held.
Don't hold on. Just be held. Somebody got hit with that one in their living room. I promise you that.
I'm telling you.
Don't hold on.
And that's for a lot of things. We always think you got to hold on. Holding on at the end of the road. Sometimes we got to let go and be held. And that's what he told me. You just got to be held.
That one just hit me in my gizzard. Don't hold on.
I love it.
Hey, that just hit me, man. Oh, somebody gonna use that, man.
Yes.
Type that, man. Don't hold on, just be held. Hey, that just hit me in my living room, man. Ooh-wee.
So I'm sitting at MD Anderson office, and just to give you an idea of what it was like for me at that moment, they had a picture on the wall. And this picture, I kid you not, I looked up at this picture and I was in awe. I literally had tears in my eyes. It was like, and it was tropical. It was tropical fish in the ocean. But at that moment, it was like I was a newborn baby. I had never seen the most beautiful blue, the most beautiful purple, yellow. I mean, it was like I was awake and I was just in awe. And so they called my name and I went into the office, and I remember the doctor, and she had all these diagrams laying on her desk, and she had written this plan, and she was like, okay, here's what we got, and here's what we're going to do. And she said, you know, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go in and we're going to have to do surgery, and we're going to have to remove a large part of this. And she said, and that surgery is going to be about 4 hours long. And then we're going to do 6 weeks of radical chemotherapy and 6 weeks of radical radiation and 2 implants. And in that moment, I was like, let's get it. What are we waiting for? And so they scheduled, and I'm telling you, from the time I had my doctor's visit to the time I was there, it was literally 3 days. I have never seen anybody move like that on MD Anderson. My mother had 3 bouts of cancer. She passed of cancer in 97. And I mean, I've just, story after story, and I was like, man, I can't wait to see what he's got for me. What? And I'm going to tell you, you know, the flesh part of me, yes, I'm not saying, oh, I was just this big, powerful being, and, you know, I totally was trusting God, and I never, you know, faltered. I didn't have fear at some point, and I'm human. Yes, sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I would lay there and think about my babies, and I had 3 kids, and no, yeah, you know, I'm not going out like this, you know. So yeah, I had my moments, but when they scheduled that surgery, I was really, really sick, and I couldn't. My immunity was down. I couldn't do the surgery, and so God was doing something. He was, you know. So we had to pause the surgery. And they tried to schedule it again, and I was real sick. We had to pause the surgery. So finally, in August, I went in and started the surgical procedure, and it was supposed to be 4 hours. And 8 hours later, I'm waking up in recovery, and she says, Miss Hamilton, she said, you're in recovery. She said, I just want you to know that when I got in there was a whole lot more than I anticipated. And, but I got it all. I was in surgery for 8 hours.
Wow.
And so I went home and of course had a lot of follow-ups and, you know, medications and things to build my immunity. And I was just, it was a terrible, beautiful situation. I'm just going to say it like that. So when I went,
terrible, beautiful situation.
It was terrible,
hey,
beautiful.
Hit me with some nice ones, man. Somebody type that one, man.
It was terrible, I'm telling you.
Beautiful situation, man. I'm using all these.
I'm telling you.
Got copyrighted because I need all those.
I'm telling you, it was terrible, beautiful. But because just the way God was working in my life, it was terrible, beautiful. That's the only way I can describe it. But when I went in for my checkup, I want you to know that there was zero signs of cancer. With that being said, there was no chemotherapy, no radiation, no implants. And that was in 2007. 15% of women survived. And here I am today.
Somebody drop. Hey, y'all should be blowing up that screen right now, man.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
No chemo, no radiation?
No. Zero. And I'm, you know, and the flip side of that is I have friends that, you know, have gone through cancer, and I know of individuals and friends and that, you know, that was not their story. And that part of me, I've struggled with for a long time, you know, because I say, why, what is it about me? And why didn't they have the same opportunity? And, you know, when I found myself questioning, I'm like, I'm questioning God's work. I can't do that. That's not for me, you know, but I can tell you this. I am so grateful, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, and anybody that knows me knows it. I am so grateful for my cancer. I am so grateful for my failed marriage. I am so grateful for the journey that I've had, and all of the little things and the big things that you guys don't know about, because I don't want to get it. I want to stick to the meat of it. But I'm grateful for all of it, because it has shaped and molded me to who I am today. Those things do not define me, but they have transcended me into the person that has allowed me to use my circumstances, to use those things that were meant to destroy me and take me out, to empower and to inspire and to educate, because of who God is, other people. This journey, in my role at work, I am a service coordinator. I help individuals to find a job, get training, but I'm also a point of contact for young adults, youth at risk, 16 to 24. And I want to tell you, when you see me in my moment, like I'm talking right now, the spiritual gifts that God gives, it is passion and power that he gives us to build his kingdom. And I'm telling you, that is what I use to reach these kids. I go into school districts. I have a partner that I work with, and I'll just say this, okay? There's been so many situations in my life where I've been given, God said, hey, I want you to do this. And I'm like, okay, God. And whether it's in my job, you know, so in my job, in my role, we didn't go out into the community. The kids, we, you know, service the young adults when they come into the office. Well, young adults don't know we're there. They think we're the unemployment office, or, you know, they don't know who we are, what services we provide. So I was advocating, we need to get into the streets. We need to get out there. We need to go meet them where they are and bring them into us. And if we can't bring them in, we need to, you know, service them there. So we fought for that. In January, we were allowed to start going out into the communities. So we started going into the school district, the juvenile justice center, we go to CPS court. And we built relationships with our community partners, and we go in and provide them, we tell them who we are and how we can provide them. But with that, I also share my story, because I think that's important. A lot of people in my industry may not agree. They're like, you're out there to go and say, hey, this is the service that we have and how we can help you. And I know, because of my younger me, that I didn't need somebody to come and say, hi, here's a book and here's how we can. I needed someone to say, let me
reach you.
Tell me what's going on with you. Tell me your story, because I can't service you. I can't help you unless I know where you're coming from. So it's important for me to get out into the community. And let me tell you, so especially when I go into the schools that are they're challenged, and I get up and I share, I say, hey, let me, who I am. And these kids are looking at me like, what's this old gray-haired lady got to share with me? What's she going to say? And so I got permission, from the principals to share my story, a part of my story. And I'm telling you, my coworker was like, girl, when you talk to these kids, they're captivated. They're, and I don't say that to toot my horn, but I say that to say that's what they need. They need someone to keep it real. They need someone to say, we got it. We all have a story. And
if they don't know you've been through something, they're not trying to hear.
Yes, absolutely.
And this generation has been through some
a lot. Yes. And they need to
all day warfare.
Yes. And the thing about it is a lot of them don't have a cheerleader. They don't have a support system. They don't have anybody to say, hey, it's okay. You are where you are, but okay, come on, and this is, my coworker says this, you got about 45 seconds to have your little moment, then I'm gonna need you to put on your big girl panties and we're gonna move on. So they need somebody to say that. You have your moment. But I'm here because I tell them, look, it's a partnership. It's 50-50. You do your part, I'm gonna do mine. I promise you, at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be here. I'm probably gonna be here before you are. Yeah. And it's changing lives, and I love it. I have about 1,000 kids out there. 1,000. I'm telling you, yes. All of the kids that I come into contact with, I have developed relationships with them. Oh, I see Saritha. Yeah, 45 minutes, Saritha.
Shout out to my big cousin Saritha. I see you out there, man. That's
yes, she's my coworker. That's my partner right there. Yeah.
Shout out to Saritha, man.
But
y'all be out there taking over like that?
Yes. Taking over like that.
Why you didn't tell me y'all was out there being superheroes?
Because I hide my cape, because there's villains out there too. When you're out there trying to be a superhero, I don't need anybody getting in my way, throwing a fork in my cereal bowl. I already got enough of that. So I'm the one that's gonna, kind of just quietly show up and then bam, but
over with, man.
I don't want to put the notice out there that I'm going and I'm doing. I just want to show up and do it. But I love these kids, and I was fortunate enough to have some really great grandparents who, were, and just let me tell you this. I got to tell you this. So my grandfather, when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, they had these big console TVs, right? And he was a district manager for American National for 34 years. And he would do his thing. So when I was little, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He would write scriptures. He'd write these verses he had his little book, and he kept it. Oh my God. By the time he passed away, he probably had 7 books, but he condensed the really important one, all the things he had to say and share, into one. But he would stand me in front of this TV, this console, and he'd say, all right, now put your hands behind your back. Give me your eye contact, put a smile on your face. Now tell me about yourself. I was 7. What was I going to tell him? And I'm like, what does he want from me? What do you mean? Tell you about myself. Mm-hmm. And so he was, prepping me and training me and building me and pouring into me like crazy. And so I remember one day I was like, I got him. I'm ready for this. And I got up in front of that TV and I was like, my name is Julie Hamilton and I'm 7 years old and I'm blah, 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 blah. And I was telling him, and he said, well, how about that? He said, okay, now this is what we're going to do. And I was like, it was the next phase, but he knew what he was doing, because I'm going to tell you what, I have no fear. right? I might have a couple of little jitters when I'm going to do something because I'm like, I want to present my best self, you know, whatever it is. I always want to be my best, but I don't care. I have no fear when it comes to, I don't care if you own the company, if you are the janitor, you could be the queen of Egypt. I don't care. I'm going to come at you just like anybody's like, hi, how are you? Introduce myself. You know, if I have a need, I'm gonna tell you what it is. If I have an ask, I'm gonna ask it. I don't have that fear, and it's because of what he did to me, how he poured into me, and I want to do that for other people. You know, I want to share my story and pour into them. These kids, I bring these kids in, and how are we on time?
Oh, you good? You good?
I want to share this one story because it is my success story. I carry this kid everywhere I go, and he knows it. I have his permission. And this is one of the kids that wanted nothing to do with me. Yeah. So
look, those. I love those.
Yes. Yes.
There's something about those. Yeah, man.
So this kid, his mother brought him in. He wanted nothing to do with me. She was like, you got to get a job. You got to go to school. You got to do something. And so he came in, he was sitting in my chair, and he had his shirt, his pants were hanging down, his shirt's hanging out. He was all slumped in the chair and wouldn't give me eye contact. And I'm trying to talk to him. And it was just, you know, I was just talking into the air. And so I said to him, hey, do me a favor. Can you at least look at me when I'm talking to you? Because I just need to know that I'm giving you all this information. I just need to know that you're hearing me because I'm responsible for right here, right now. When you walk out that door, it's on you. But I want to know that I've given you all the tools and all the information to make a change, whatever it is. So he shifted his chair and he was, you know, I could tell that he was, you know, that rebellion. He wanted to listen, but he's like, I can't give her all my attention. So needless to say, I worked with this kid, scheduled appointments. He came in. I got him on the computer and I'm like, okay, first we're going to start. And people don't think about it, but job searching, applying online for jobs, it is rough. It is frustrating. It's time consuming. One job, you could spend 3 hours on the computer, and that's no joke. I do this for a living. So I got him on the computer and I said, look, I'm going to teach you how to effectively job search, how to do applications, and then you're going to have some homework. So we went through this and I said, showed him how to do it. And I said, here's your homework. You're going to go on the computer and you're going to find a company and a position that you want to land. Okay. And you're going to do all your homework. You're going to look at the background. You're going to do all your studying. And then you're going to schedule an appointment with me. And I'm going to be that hiring manager. And I'm going to interview you for that position. You're going to tell me what it is and we're going to do the interview. So he's already been through the applications. I told him, submit applications all over. I don't care if you don't want the job. It's you're putting tools in your tool bag because if you get a call, you're going to do an interview and it's going to be your best interview, but you're probably going to get 10 no's, 20 no's before you get a yes, right? So he's doing all this. Well, then I get the phone call from him. He's ready for the mock interview. And so he comes in for the interview, and this is no joke. Sarita, all my people can testify. He comes in for the interview. This kid's got on khakis, a polo collared shirt, a belt. He's got on a bomber jacket, some dress shoes. I was like, who is this kid?
He was ready.
So I go in my office and I'm waiting because they already knew he was coming. So he comes in and they send him over to my office. He knocks at the door. I open the door. He extends his hand out and introduces himself to me because remember, I'm the hiring manager for this company. So he sits down, we go through the interview, and let me tell you, so I work with 30, 40, 50-year-olds. They've been in the industry for years, been at their job 20-something years. Maybe they just got laid off, right? But they're seasoned. Mm-hmm. This kid interviewed 85%. 85%. And remember where we started. I was blown away. He did his homework. He had an answer for every question, and not just a answer, the perfect answer. I told him, if I was really the hiring manager, he would have got an offer letter.
Where you want to start? Where you want to start?
He would have got, yes, that day and been like, how about that? Sign the dotted line. Let's go, you know? And so, do you want to know the first question he asked me? He said, hey, can you tell my mom? Because I told him, you scored 85%. I said, you are on it. You had answers to questions that stumps grown folk. When I'm like, tell me about yourself, he didn't say, you know, I got a brother and 2 sisters and a cat, and I'm into art. He told me about himself. He brought it. All of the needs that the employer was looking for, the skills, the abilities, he brought it. I was so impressed with this kid. And I told him that. And he's like, can you tell my mom? I'm like, absolutely. Let's call her.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. He said, there's more. And I said, what do you mean there's more? And he said, you remember how you had me on the computer and I was doing all those applications, doing all those jobs? I said, yeah. He said, I got a job. I've been working for 2 weeks now. I said, why did you not tell me? And he said, because I needed this. That's not where I'm stopping. I need more.
Wow.
So this kid is the kid that wanted nothing to do with this white-haired old lady. He comes in once a week to hug my neck. If I'm on the phone, he'll come and wave, get my attention. And I have 999 other ones just like him. And that's what's lacking is, these kids through COVID went through so much. I mean, it's changed their social abilities. They're, and I'm just going to say it, they're lazy. Why are they lazy? Because they didn't go anywhere. They didn't do anything. They sat in a house for a whole 2 years or whatever. And, there was no interaction. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know. So my whole point is I use all of those terrible things that were meant to destroy me so that I can reach kids just like myself. I wish that someone had have been there to say, hey, this is, I'm like I said, I'm totally grateful and I own everything that happened to me and I'm so grateful for it. But they're lacking,
Yeah.
and they need someone in their court, and that's who God has placed.
Look,
me.
all they need is somebody to see something in them.
Yes.
You have the ability to see something in it. It's something when somebody sees something in you.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing. That's just like I said, starting off, when people look at me, they judge a book by its cover. I can't tell you, and I don't want to get into it because it's a whole nother realm, but people will come into the office and they'll look at me and they're like, I don't want to work with her. I want that lady over there. And because they see me and they automatically assume that I'm going to be, this snooty lady but when people walk into my office, I look past the exterior. I want to sit down and have a conversation with you because it deserves a conversation. I want to know where you're at, what your needs are, because I can't give you, people come in and they go, I just need a job. Well, everybody needs a job, but I need to know where you're at, what got you here, so we can, address those things and then get what you need to be able to be job ready and then get you a job. Yeah. So it's,
it takes a different heart to take that time and actually care.
I love it. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, sometimes I am so stressed out. Sharitha, look, that's my song. At the end of the day, sometimes I'm whooped. Like I have my hair thrown up top of my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need a refresher. But I live for it. If I can change one life at the end of the day, I'm blessed. Yeah, it's more valuable than any money, any gold, any silver. I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Wow. What a story. So
if any young adults, anybody on here, you got any neighbors, any kids, you come up to somebody in the grocery store and you see that there's a need, tell them, I got somebody that can help you. Send them to Workforce Solutions in Texas City. That's where I am. Inbox me. I'm there. I am your girl.
Look, anybody who has somebody between the ages of 16 to 24 and they need that individual one-on-one help, tell them, we got a gal.
Yes.
We got a gal.
You got 5-10 minutes, call me, message me. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be the best decision that they ever make. I'm telling you.
That's amazing.
I'm a girl.
Everything that you went through, you turned that all around and start pouring into others.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All of it was for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and I'm gonna just end it with this. I have 3 children, and they've been a witness to so much more than I've shared today. And I'm also so grateful that they walked that journey with me, because my children are, and this is not a whoop, whoop, I am blessed. My children are amazing. They are good human beings. They are kind. They are not perfect. Do not get me wrong. Do they get mad? Do they have a moment? They do. But their heart, oh my goodness. They have such a good heart. They're good people. And they use what we went through as a family. They use our journey. You know, we're always talking about how, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that person just said that or did that, or do you see what they're doing? Because we recognize that's not the way that you treat people, or the way that you act, or the way, you know. And I have such good kids, and I'm so blessed. And they say to me, and they get it, but they say to me, Mom, because I can tell you what I do, and I'm not saying this in a really bad way, y'all, but what I do, there's not a whole lot of money in it. It's nonprofit. It's, you know, my kids are always saying, Mom, don't you want to, you know, make a little bit of more money? Because like, and especially today, I struggle, right? But this is a reminder, because when I take you back to Jesus, Jesus didn't ride around in a limo. He didn't have a helicopter. He didn't, you know, have all these fancy clothes. And he just, his purpose was reaching people. And he didn't go to those who were well, and he didn't go to the well-established homes and the, where'd he go? What people did he seek out?
Sick.
And it's not about the money. And I tell my kids, you know, yes, I get tired of struggling, but the reward is so much greater. We always have what we need. God meets our need every single time, every time, every time. I ain't lost nothing every single time. So it's not about that. So I'm just here to say, if you're struggling, God's got a purpose for you. If you put the focus on your passion and your journey and your purpose, all that other stuff is going to be taken care of, because that's, you know, that's God.
Somebody get the sheets. Somebody didn't pass out. Somebody passed out. You didn't preach the whole sermon here. Just want to let you know that.
Hey, you know what I did during COVID? Look, I get all excited. I could talk about some Jesus. I got God math stories. We could have a whole nother session. I'm telling you. But we could I actually did write 2 books, but we could have a whole session. But during COVID, so during COVID, we were partially, at first we were closed, right? To the public. We were servicing over the phone. And so the stories, it was like my inside was a puzzle piece, and the pieces were just shattering. Crying. People had lost family members, husbands, wives, their jobs. I had a preacher call me and tell me he was diagnosed with COVID, put in the hospital, put on a ventilator, and they told his wife, go in, you know, say your goodbyes, all this good stuff. He was lit up like a Christmas tree, is what he told me. He said God spoke to him and said, not today. In 24 hours, he was breathing. He was coherent. They weaned him off the respirator, and he walked out of that hospital a week later. Wow. And so testimonies and stories, I was praying with people over the phone, and I was a whole different dynamic. I started a prayer board, and that was 3 years ago during COVID. And that prayer board is still there today. It actually was the back of one of those hanging calendars. So it's like, I don't know, 2 feet long, 2.5 feet long. And it's the blank pages. And people, I would say, what do you need? What do you need prayer? And I wouldn't write their whole name, but I'd write their name and their initial and what their prayer is, and put my hand on it. I'm praying for, I mean, it's just, that's my thing. If God is not a part of my walk, whether it's my job, it's my relationship, it's my kids, I'm gonna fail. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
She got that fire on her, y'all. Look, Evangelist Jules, look, ready to go out and reach and save everybody.
That is my goal. My goal, I see when I had checked this out. So look, that's how I could keep going. So I had a male friend he was my male best friend for 24 years. And he was a womanizer. And this is back in the day. He was a womanizer. He was an addict. He was all these things, right? And he got clean and he turned his life around. And him and I did a single moms group and we did a Pathfinders group in the church. And so one day I called him and I said, I got to tell you something. And he said, what's that? I said, God told me to tell you you were going to be pastoring. And he said, I love you, but I'm sure that God didn't tell you it was going to be me. And I said, I'm telling you, he showed me, I saw you on the stage. You were just in it. God showed me you were going to be pastoring a church. And he said, okay, Julie. I said, I'm telling you, pray about it. I'm telling you. So long story short, it was probably about a year and a half later. He had gotten into a relationship. I had moved. I ran into him a year and a half later at a Little Chief. And I walked in the door and he said, he had this grin on his face and he tilted his head and just shook his head. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I got to tell you something. He said, the last time we spoke, you told me I was going to be pastor at church. He said, well, I'm actually a youth pastor. And I said, I already knew it. You the one that didn't believe it. I already knew it. So I mean, I'm telling you, I see myself one day. I said, I see myself. Gosh, I could be 99 years old and I'm not going to give up because I know if he gave it to me, he's going to bring it through. But yeah. I've been a prayer warrior. I was participating, I mean, in all aspects of the church. And there were I had to step away. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. I had to step away from that church, but I went on to do, inspirational videos on YouTube and keep my prayer wall going and all that good stuff. I said, my church is right here. And when, God calls me to go a different direction, but I see myself on a stage. I see myself bringing the word of God to people. And I don't know what that's going to look like. That's for him. But I see it. It's in me. I love it. I'm willing.
Hey, I can tell you this. You got all of us fired up through the screen.
Do what?
You got us all fired up through this screen, man.
I'm like,
I definitely tune in.
I'm all about it. I'm loving it.
Look, let me see. We got comments. I sought the Lord and he answered me and delivered me from all my. Those who look to him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Keep loving. Shout out to Pops, man.
Absolutely.
Y'all show some love in the comments from Miss Hampton. If you've been fired up, please let me know, because she sure got me fired up. You can tell that you got something in you though.
I'm gonna tell you, and I said last time, I'm gonna leave you with this. I could go. I'm telling you, when it comes to my Jesus and my stories, my path, my journey, I could go on and on and on and on. But I'm gonna say this: if God has called you to do something, right? People have called me crazy many, many, many times, and even my own family members. And here's why: if God has called you to do something, I don't care what it looks like in the flesh. I don't care what that looks like, because people be like, how you going to do what? How you going to do that when you can't even function your life? You can't even put a hamburger patty on the stove. But so in 2016, God told me I need, and y'all will probably remember this, when the Blue Dallas and the Men of Blue, when all the rioting was going on with the police officers in Dallas in 2016. Well, God called me and said, I need you to hold a prayer vigil. We got to bring this community back together, right? And I was like, okay, Jesus, but I don't know where to begin. What is that even going to look like? And so he showed me, I need you, and this is true. This is a true story. You can check it out. But he showed me, I need you to go to City Hall. I need you to go to the Common Ground, and I need you to file an application to hold a prayer vigil. And I was like, I'm on it. So I went down to the city, 2016, and I said, I need to file an application for an event here on the Common Ground. And she said, well, what type of event? And I said, I'm going to hold a prayer vigil. And she said, well, we've never done that before. We don't do those type of events. I said, I get it. But Jesus sent me here and told me that we were going to have a prayer vigil right here. And that lady was looking at me like I had
boldness, man.
I'm telling you.
He said, I get it. But Jesus told me.
Yes.
We go.
That is the truth. And so she said, well, we don't do stuff like that here. I said, okay. So, hey, Dookie. So I said, okay, you don't do so. I said, but do you have an application? She said, but ma'am. And I said, oh, I get it. But if you have an application, I could just take it and fill it out. And she said, okay, and so she gives me the application. And she's so apprehensive. And then I said, so is there a deposit? What does that look like? And she said, yeah, well, we have a deposit, but wouldn't even know what to tell you because we don't do so. I said, okay. So if I was just doing an event, period, what would that deposit look like? So she told me the deposit. I said, okay. So I'm going to fill out this application. I'm going to bring a check back for that deposit. And she said, okay. So I filled out the application. I left the deposit. And I want you to know it was not 1 hour later. She told me so she calls me on the phone and said, Miss Hamilton, I just want to tell you that I talked to the city and they said, go ahead. And I said, won't he do it? So that's what I'm saying. We ended up having a prayer vigil. God showed me that 1,000 people were going to gather on common ground, right? And so we had the prayer booths out there and we had gospel singers and Bill and Renee from their gospel singers. And I can't even, I'm not even in it right now, but it was set up. And so here's the really cool part. You have to look beyond, right? Because he told me 1,000 people were going to gather. So we probably had about, I would say through the course of the day, maybe 300-400, maybe 500. It's been since 2016. Gather, right, on common ground. And at one point we did a big circle and it was live and we had a prayer going out all over. But here's the kicker. By the time it ended on the live feed, there were 1,000 people gathering. So when God says he's going to do it, it may not be how you think he's going to do it, or it may not be what it would look like to you, but he's going to do it. And he's going to do it his way in his time.
If he said he's going to do it,
he's going to do it. He's going to do it.
Do you know how many fans I'm taking from you tonight? I'm taking a lot of.
Take them off. Take them off.
I get it. But Jesus said, look.
And I say that all the time. I always tell people, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but Jesus said, and
I gotta use that, man. I gotta use that. Hey, that should be on a t-shirt. I get it. But
Jesus said, you know what? I'm going to make one. I'm going to make a t-shirt.
Hey, make two. Send me one, please.
I will. You got it.
I get it. But Jesus said.
Yeah.
Man, if you make that shirt, I think everybody will buy that one. I get it.
But Jesus said. Yeah, I'm going to put it out there.
Teresa,
I'm going to put it out there.
Make sure she send your cousin the shirt. I get it. But Jesus said, I'm wearing it.
Oh, she'll remind me. Trust that.
I'm wearing that, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I could truly say you are definitely filled. I could feel it from across the screen. Like that type of love and joy.
It's all God.
Come through his spirit. Yeah, man.
It's all God.
Hey, that only can come through him, man. You can't fake that and you can't make that up, man. That comes from someone who didn't spend some time with Jesus himself.
Oh yeah. People will walk in the door. You could ask Aretha. People will walk in the door and they will say, in tears, we've had it. And they'll say, we had someone tell us that they were just about to take their own life. And God said, I'm going to need you to go there. She says she walked in the door, walked right over to us. And I was like, open arms. Let's give you a hug. Let's sit down. Let's talk. And they're just like, oh my God, you could just see God all over you. And just, people, that's just something you can't fake. You can't fake.
No.
And that's part of my prayer. I ask God, when people see me, let them see you. Let them see, because I'm nobody. I am nobody.
Hey,
but
Jesus, it's amazing because I know sometimes we feel it's the and thou art thou. No, it's the love. It's that love. It's that.
Come on.
You can't fake it. That's all I can say.
You can't fake it. You can't fake it. You can't fake it.
There's no way to fake it, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, that's a certain love that is different, man.
Oh, you can't touch it. You can't.
It's different.
Agape love. When you think about the greatest love in the world, magnify that by a million. I mean, you can't touch it. You cannot touch it.
Yeah.
Can't touch it.
Look, that's a love that comes through death. Like I know what you didn't have to experience in your life to be able to love like that. I'm just tell you that. Yeah.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm blessed.
Mhm.
God is good.
Look, again, we have all been blessed by you. Any closing statements, man? Because I know the people have been blessed, man. One more time, if y'all been blessed, drop something in the comments. Leave some hearts, man. Let us see the love, because we felt the love from you. Believe it.
Well, thank you. It's all God, I'm telling you. I appreciate all of you. I really do. I just, this ain't about me. It's about sharing my story. And like I was sharing with you earlier, if I can share my journey, even a small part of it, somebody may be going through something, and it lets you know that you're not alone. And yes, you do. And remember this, if nothing else, you don't have to figure it out. When you feel like your life is falling apart, it's falling into place. And everybody will always tell you, and I was guilty of it too, saying, come on, I'm going to just need you to hold on. Okay, well, imagine this rope and it's got a knot. Here we are holding on to the end of it endlessly, over and over and over. That's not it. You know what we need to do? We need to let go and be held. If we have to learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, because that is when the beauty surfaces. I'm telling you, it gives you a chance to get rid of all the funky stuff, the stuff you don't need, the stuff that don't matter. Get real, and then you say, I know what Jesus said, and there you go. There you go.
Get it. What Jesus said, man.
Jesus said.
But it hurts so bad. I get it.
I get it.
Jesus said.
Yes.
But my bills are due. I get it. But Jesus said, man.
Come on, how many of y'all have had a bill or something due, and your bank account didn't say what's going to happen, and all of a sudden you just go, you know what, God? I know you got it. I don't got it, but I know you got it. And then out of nowhere, your bill is paid. Your money shows up, and your bill is paid. And he said, all I needed you to do was trust me. Trust me. Just trust me.
Before
I'm so grateful that you invited me on. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
I told it was gonna be, whenever time it came, it was gonna be perfect. That's all I know. I never rush it, because I know it's whatever that time is, it's a point. Somebody on this day, today, on this live, needed to hear this right now.
Absolutely.
I promise you. I know I did.
Thank you so much. And if you have a twist, I could go on. I could tell you some Jesus journeys, that's for sure. Jesus math. We can have some stories.
Hey, this is what you're gonna have to promise me, man. Can we get a part 2?
We can get a part 2. We can get a part 2.
We can get a part 2.
We can get a part 2.
Hey, and think about that idea with the shirts, man. You'll be the whole world.
So I have something brewing, right? I have something brewing. So maybe in the part 2, it may be a little premature by the time part 2 is, but maybe in the part 2 I'll be able to share some things with you, with all of you. But yeah, so we can get a part 2. I'm looking forward to it.
You see the comments, huh?
Part 2. Much love, you guys. God's gonna do big things in your life. Don't give up. Don't look what's right in front of you. I tell my oldest daughter all the time, because there's big life things happening out there, folks. To all of us. And it's not the same for everybody, right? But emotionally, what seems little to you is because it's mine. It's big, but it's not for you. God allows things in our life so that we can remember who He is, right? If you don't trust Him, and this is what I say, right? We got people in our life, and I'm like, why am I putting my faith in this person? Why do I keep trusting and believing, right? If you're going to put your faith and trust in anybody, right? Because he's always going to show up. He's never changing. He's got you. It's already done. But what stops it from coming to pass is you putting your faith and trust in something else. You got to look up. You got to give it to him. Allow him to do the work. Quit taking it back. That's it. That's all I got. God said. Jesus said. And that's what y'all going to do. That's what you're going to do. Next time something comes up, you're going to say, I get it. Jesus said.
I get it. What Jesus said.
Jesus said.
Yep. We thank you. Look, I want to tell you, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
And encouraging the body. Look, I definitely been encouraging. Look, I appreciate you for all you do for the communities out there and across the world, because I know it probably reaches all over the place. Look, thank you for taking care of G-Town, my home island. Look, I appreciate that too. Look, we will be scheduled for a part 2 because we need you.
We will. Thank you so much.
Look,
thank you, everybody. Y'all have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Hey, the world needs to hear you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The world needs to hear you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love y'all. Keep God first. And remember,
night, guys.
And remember, we got it one more time. I get it.
But Jesus
said. We going out on that. I ain't saying no more. I love y'all. Good night, man.
And even though it gets hard, you gotta keep striving. Through the fears and the loss, so the tears won't turn off. No, he hears your heart's cry. Hold on to his words. Lean on him. It gets better by and by.
And to my queens, I see y'all in a different way. It's more to y'all than posing pictures on your Facebook page. God giving power to uplift a man, to make a slave, speak life into our dreams, or tear us down and watch us fade away. Know your position, cause you're vital to the family structure. No replacing any mother. Careful how you treating love. Elegant, heaven sent etiquette is like no other. Her love is better than buttered biscuits right out the oven. Know who you are, don't let this world define. Shape or mold you, God's daughter, queen of nations. There's no box to ever hold you. Life creator, womb protector, heaven sent, love injector, backbone, best gift ever, worth more than hidden treasure. I speak life, cause this world is trying to turn you cold. Replace that heart of stone with flesh. We need your love to make us whole. Kick back your crown and hold us down. Together, we won't fold. Get back to love how God intended. Change to make this family whole.
Even though this life is tough,